Thank you for listening to the Failing Writers podcast. It means a lot to us that you've lent us your lug holes for an hour or so. Do make sure you spread the word and let other folks know about us too.
Well, we promised you that we would come back and read you some of the stories that got into the shortlist, didn't we, John? And what do we do with our promises?
We keep them, Tom. We keep them.
Bloody well keep them.
So here we are. We're going to read you some stories today.
So these are the nearlies, the didn't quite wins, that got to the shortlist. And I have to say, and we said this last week, about how everything was really, really, really good. There was some absolute Bobby Dazzlers.
Yeah, I agree.
That I think could have quite easily won.
I have to say as well, this is probably, I don't know if I'm going too far here, Tom, but there were some that didn't even get in the shortlist that were like, actually, that probably could have won as well.
Because you have to get rid of some somewhere.
It is surprisingly hard, listeners. Honestly, it seems like it should be quite an easy job, but it's really hard, especially when you've got so many like interesting ideas and, you know, interesting ideas that are really well written as well. It's really hard creating that shortlist. It's
really good from a person that enters the odd contest now and again side of things, because you realise that you can as a judge, you read something, you think, oh, this is really good, and then you've got to pick between these 15 different ones, and only seven of them can get through or whatever. So you've got to like get rid of half of them. So you start doing it on the tiniest, stupidest things, because there's literally no other way of separating them.
I was about to say that. You just end up being really brutal. Like, oh, that last 3 words wasn't brilliant. Or
it's not even things that people can necessarily change or have seen or have... It's just some arbitrary thing. And you think, well, actually, in a way, that's terrible, because you can write something brilliant and not get through. But actually, it's quite reassuring in a way, that just because your thing doesn't get through or gets rejected, it's just look of the toss of a coin, look of the draw. You know, there's not much to pick.
Sometimes it's just the thing that gets you in the heart at that particular moment. I mean, it is that arbitrary, isn't it, in some ways?
You get fond of them, don't you?
I think that's true. Yeah.
There's bits where you just kind of, there's ones that become your little pet that you kind of really want to do well.
The star judge is going to put them through, but it is incredibly subjective.
Well, what we should do is crack on and read some of these so our listeners can say, well, why the hell did that get through to the shortlist and mine didn't?
Miles better.
Bloody idiots. I am never listening to this podcast again. I think that would be cathartic for them, wouldn't it? So first up, we have Bridging.
That's by Rachael Dunlop.
So let's have a listen to it and then we'll have a little chat.
Bridging by Rachael Dunlop. Christmas at your parents' house. Dinner at 6. Candlelight flat against the condensation-blurred windows. Too many forks on the table, but you squeeze my hand and tell me to follow your lead. I keep a poker face as you tuck a salad fork behind your ear and pretend to play a dessert fork like the world's tiniest violin. Later, in your room, we make love like furtive teenagers, stifling our giggles in each other's shoulders. A Boxing Day walk in the woods nearby. We discover a mammoth oak felled by the most recent storm. A once-in-a-lifetime event, they said. But there have been so many of those recently. I'm beginning to wonder how many lifetimes I've expended in the past few years. Not as many as you, I say to the tree, my hand childishly small against the girth of its trunk. The falling tree had pulled with it a wall of soil and roots, 10 men high, indecently exposing the tender earth beneath. I trip over a root still anchored into the ground. It's not dead, I say, but you're high up on the trunk, balance beaming along its length. The tree is a bridge now, spanning a fast-falling burn. Never been to this side before, you yip in delight as you scale the bank on the other side. New Year's Eve, we leave in the morning. Your mother thin-lipped with disappointment at the door. Which of us she's more disappointed in, I cannot tell. I roll down the window as the car wallows its way down the thickly gravelled drive. I need air. The expression on your face as we left had something of the triumphant about it. As we pull out of the gate, I hear the chug-chug of a chainsaw from the woods behind. I thought this one was very beautifully put together. There's a lot packed into a very short story. There's just over 300 words, this one. But it feels a bit more epic.
Very melancholic, isn't it? Kind of like that sort of heavy nostalgia, that kind of...
Do you know what it was for me? I think it was the fact that it's not showy. It's not big and shiny.
Yeah.
It's like all sort of muted, dusty colours, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a little breadcrumb trail, almost. They're like little clues. And I really like that. I mean, we've talked about that before. We talked about how much we quite like ambiguity.
Or do we?
Or do we?
That's a joke about ambiguity.
See, you've got it
We
now.
might do or we might not. Do you see what? Because it's the actual thing. It's self-referencing the thing. That's why that's funny.
Thank you for explaining that to me, Tom.
You are welcome.
It's really, really
you are very welcome. Very welcome.
But yeah, I love that in a story, especially one this short.
Yeah.
But I think what you're left with this one is you're left with this sense that something has changed, something has shifted slightly, but you're not entirely sure what that is, if you know what I mean. The landscape has changed, literally, with the tree, but the whole of the sort of psychological landscape has changed.
I think part of the reason it works so well in this, though, because it does draws the visual world so easily, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It properly transports you into that place. You experience the environment and the atmosphere of it so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's some lovely little bits of language in there as well.
Yeah.
My favourite line is the "We leave in the morning, your mother thin-lipped with disappointment at the door."
Yeah, that is great.
What a fantastic description of that face and that look and everything about that.
And I like the way as well that sort of slightly rhyme echoes the yip in delight. I thought the word yip there is brilliant. And thin-lipped comes shortly after it as a really brilliant contrast. It's just got lovely little moments like that. And the furtive teenagers stifling their giggles on each other's shoulders.
Well, there you go. That one could have got further, couldn't it? Unlucky. It's so true, though, isn't it? It's so true.
It is. It's a weird feeling that leaves you with, I think. It's not a nice feeling you're left with.
Yes, you're left a little bit off balance, aren't you?
The triumph on the face of the lover and then the chainsaw is like, that's not great.
Yeah.
But so subtle. Beautiful.
Next up, we have Underneath. Who was this one by, John?
This is Camilla Cassidy. What a lovely, unexpectedly beautiful little tale.
I think this was our favourite, wasn't it? Are we allowed to say that?
It was definitely one of them.
Definitely up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely one of them. Shall we hear it?
Underneath by Camilla Cassidy. Sylvie ducked beneath the tablecloth while the melon rinds were being cleared away and the soup course brought out. No one noticed. No one, that is, except Martin, who stared blankly as she pulled off a paper crown and submerged beneath the surface. He wouldn't tell. He hardly spoke a word to anyone. She'd sat through the crackers and the jokes. What'd you get if you crossed Santa with a duck? Christmas quackers! She'd listened to Uncle Eric opining that they wouldn't be able to go for their customary walk since it would certainly rain. Look at those clouds, he'd prophesied. Absolutely torrential, I bloody it. Aunt Sarah muttering darkly, why do you always have to be so miserable? It's Christmas, for goodness sake. That's when she'd untethered herself, slipped away. Sylvie was tall for 12, so she didn't have much headroom down here. But still, it was an improvement. Up there were too many teeth, too many eyes, too many forks and knives. Everything loud and sharp. She preferred it down here, with the awkward assembly of knees and shoes, in the twilight tablecloth-shrouded world of polished wood and thick pile carpet, springy like the villi she sketched in biology class. The words that reached her were wreckage floating down to the ocean floor, jagged and unintelligible fragments from another world. Why must you always spoil these occasions by drinking too much, Samantha? A stiletto kicked at an Oxford brogue, which jabbed back but missed. Sea creatures jousting blindly in the depths. The clatter of plates announced the ritual of another course. A corner of tablecloth lifted to reveal a plate of scraps. An offering from the world above. From Martin, she supposed. On the back of a joke, he'd written a missive with a burnt-out nub of a match. I wish I could join you down there. I'm afraid I'd blow your cover. Aren't they dreadful? Not underneath, she thought. Underneath, they were soft-bellied creatures scuttling. She'd never go back. Even when she crept back into her chair for trifle, she'd always be down here, really. Underneath.
See, that is nice, that, isn't it?
It's got all the little details in that just pluck out these memories, these shared memories we have.
Yeah.
A bit similar to Katie's winning piece, where just these sort of, I was going to say easy ways, but it's not easy. You've got to kind of do it properly, but quick and ways just to get to the real hub of the issue about and releasing those memories in a that everyone kind of shares.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this one has like such a big overarching concept as well of this kind of this split world of what people are saying and what they're actually meaning is what I took from it. That there's kind of this, what people are saying above the table when they want to show off to the relatives or to get at someone or bicker. But then underneath there's these little kicks and you kind of see the real world and it's like, well, where do you want to be? And like, oh, yeah.
It's very clever. It's almost like a kind of coming-of-age tale in a way, isn't it? But it's almost like the character Sylvie she actually actively doesn't want to join the
It's a
adult
not
world.
quite coming-of-age tale.
Yeah. So I don't want to come-of-age tale. I don't want to be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got Martin, who is kind of almost wanting to, I wish I could just go back to being under the table.
Yeah.
Because, look, I'm stuck with all these people, all these family, and they're just a drain.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah, she's desperately clinging on to that sort of childish world of imagination and playfulness. And that same age is the age where you start to look at adults. So you start to see your parents in a slightly different way. You start to see their fragilities and their, you know, the sort of the mess of adulthood.
Yeah.
And I thought that it just described it so brilliantly. And actually this one wins my prize for most slick inclusion of the phrase.
Oh, right, okay.
I thought it went in so smoothly you would never have known that was some kind of phrase you had to squeeze in, you had to shoehorn in, because it's so beautifully done. Up there were too many teeth, too many eyes, too many forks and knives, everything loud and sharp. I mean, that's
It's
brilliant.
all brilliantly written, because even moving on from that, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
She preferred it down here with the awkward assembly of knees and shoes. I mean, that's just you can see it. It's such a lovely, lovely visual. Brilliant.
It is. It's lovely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one could have worked, couldn't it?
Camilla,
There's another one. Yeah. Unlucky.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
What we got next, Tom? We've got Not Even a Mouse by Rebecca Latham.
Oh, Rebecca gave us a little bit of a twist.
She did.
An enjoyable, which is a brave thing to do, as we've learned in flash fiction, that not everyone likes a twist. And also, with the shortness of length, it can be a little bit contrived or forced or a bit too much of a neck-jerking whiplash around.
But too obvious.
But this one was done so neatly.
It was.
We should probably let people hear it so they can make their own mind.
Let's do that
about
first,
these things. Yeah. Not Even a Mouse by Rebecca Latham. Had he imagined it? Or had a floorboard creaked? Robert crouched like a nativity figurine, cradling the final present beneath the tree. He couldn't ruin the Christmas magic for his boy. He waited. Nothing. Like the blush that spread across cold cheeks in winter, Robert's anxiety flared up each December. When others heard the first jingle of Christmas bells, Robert remembered tinkles of beer cans rolling into the empty gap beneath the tree, leaving a trail of froth-like snow. The memory threatened to maul itself into the present, into his adult life. Surveying the dark room, guilt and inadequacy swayed heavily from Robert's heart. The tree loomed intrusively. The dining table was too long, with too many forks and too many glasses, and no laughter. It swarmed him. Until he noticed the bike against the back door. He recalled his boy reading, "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring." The remaining words evaporated like fog in his fist. He'd ask his little rascal in the morning. Just hours ago, they were snuggled up in bed waiting for Santa. Tonight, Santa was working his magic. Tomorrow, his boy would ride a brand new bike, whilst Robert held the back seat, laughter billowing like a ribbon in the Christmas Day wind. All shame reduced to nothing. However, as Robert rose from his knees, another squeak caught him off guard. He would have thrown himself behind the sofa to preserve the Christmas magic, but in the dim moonlight, he discovered the culprit. A tiny grey cat's toy, with a spindling tail, lying helplessly in the shadow beneath his knee. Robert exhaled. He pushed the nuisance deep into his pocket. It was time to call it a night. Returning to the kitchen, Robert slung his 2 rucksacks onto each shoulder. He swiped the bike beneath his left armpit. As he stepped over the smashed glass that glittered on the floor, he left nothing behind. No regret, shame, presents, not even a mouse. With a smile, Robert retreated back into the night, heading home to his boy.
What I love about that one, I think it's really clever how she makes these lovely connections between the kind of joyful, innocent, what's the word, like iconography of Christmas.
Yeah.
And the reality of this guy's life, the crouching like a nativity figure, figurine, or jingle bells being contrasted with the tinkle of beer cans and the froth like snow. You know, with all of those, you get this growing unease, don't you?
But it's beautiful, isn't it? Using all these Christmas metaphors to describe things.
It's just great.
And I think it's like you get the little, you feel like you've maybe had the little gentle flash twist that actually it's not some kind, he's not, you know, at the start, maybe he's Santa or something, or it's kind of like, or, you know, and he's going to get caught being Santa, but and then it gives you the extra proper twist.
Yeah,
I felt like that when I was reading it. That because you're obviously trying to sort of guess where it's playing out and think, oh right, so he's going to get you bugger, which is great. It gives
up the story gives up the secret at exactly the right place as well, doesn't it? Like or the right pace of getting to that point, and the actual sort of delivery of the twist is like 4 lines from the end.
I would love to know whether the whole mouse thing was a initial thought or a later on afterthought, because it's the kind of thing that can spur a story from that. Oh, what if it was called Not Even a Mouse, and then there was a mouse? You know, obviously the mouse gets involved. Or whether that was just a brilliant. Oh my God. That'll fit in nicely. That would be good.
Little squeaky mouse thing. Yeah. But even that's a lovely moment as well. You can hear it. You know, you can hear the little squeak and the.
It is. Well, it's almost cartoonesque, isn't it? In the kind of, you know, the sort of the creaking floorboards, stepping on a squeaky mouse sort of idea. It's And
it makes you feel for him even more somehow. Makes you fear for him in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very clever. And you've done enough building to make you. On his side enough.
Well, that's the other thing. It leaves you that you're not sure how you're meant to feel about this.
Yeah,
because you know, heading home to his boy, and you go, no, he's, but he's
someone's stuff.
He's,
yeah.
So you're not quite sure where.
It's basically a rewriting of The Grinch, isn't it? Effectively,
yeah.
That's what they've done there.
Just you've really taken the edge off now. So
I'm not saying.
You think that was just a rip off and. Are we going to have to take it out of the shortlist now, or is that all right,
just ripped it off, Rebecca, what are you doing?
Yeah. It was great. Really good.
That was a lovely story. It's very nice. Next up.
Tea with Idris. Yeah.
Oh, we liked this one, didn't we?
By Genevieve Marenghi Daly.
Yeah. A lovely change, this, wasn't it, from a lot of the things that we were reading.
It was very bright.
It was left field. It cut in
energy,
on all the
full
other
of energy,
stuff.
Full of like.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? You feel like you're watching like a comedy montage almost, like, you know, in a something where it's just, and it's happening and it's just, no. Anyway, we should let people listen to it, shouldn't we?
Getting carried away again.
We'll get a hold of this. No point us chatting about it until people heard it. I've listened to this.
Tea with Idris by Genevieve Marenghi Daly.
It was beginning to look a lot like mass murder. Mary slammed an Alessi lemon squeezer into a customer's skull, grabbed a flamethrower and torched the horde scouring Selfridge's lower ground. Sweet baby Jesus, if only. 3 shopping days until his birthday, and still she trailed behind her sales target. Her manager, a despotic face-ache half Mary's age, flagged this non-stop. Shut it, Bublé, she thought, sweat pooling under her black nylon shirt. Time to up her game and her HRT. Poised to ambush a woman eyeing the smeg kettles, she spotted him. The brawny dish with the tweed cap and salt-flecked beard, sparking a wave of rubberneckers as he mooched down the aisle towards her. Christ on a Brompton! Idris bloody help her! Dumbstruck, she found herself blinking up at him, heard him ask for help in that lush, gravelly voice. Something about a gift. As if in a dream, She followed the star to tableware. Fumbling, she opened a box of Christoffel and then watched as 4 grand's worth of gold cutlery jingled to the floor.
Sorry, God.
Flushed scarlet, she knelt to retrieve them.
I do apologise, sir.
Faceache loomed over her now, murderous. But Idris bent down to help and in a delicious whisper confessed that he hadn't a clue what half of them were for.
Yes, falsetto laugh. There's too many forks.
Smiling, he handed her a cake fork and stood up. Alone behind the counter, she slipped it into her pocket. Back in her studio flat, she raided cupboards for more staff perks. Wedgwood saucers and rice bowls that had fallen inside her bag. She sloshed some gin into her Earl Grey and raised a bone china cup. Toasting the king who'd clinched her bonus, she rekindled his smouldering gaze. How he admired her saggy size 14. Unlike her scumbag ex-husband who'd strain the bed springs with boob job sure when Mary worked weekends. Eyes closed, she savoured a mouthful of Asda Yule log from the Sacred Fork. And right then, she felt in her heart that she truly was having tea with Idris.
John, I think now that people have listened to it, we could probably discuss it.
Yeah, should we do that?
We?
Yeah.
As a group, so they're included as well. And it's not just
that
us.
That would be nice.
Yeah, and again, this one, as you'd heard there, I love that I said last week. I love that first line.
It's great.
Brilliant.
It's like pure escapism, isn't it?
It is.
I think Emily might have made that point, to be fair, last week. And great little lines in there. It's just good descriptions, despotic face ache.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It's joyful, and yet it's got a little bit of sadness in it as well.
Well, it's incredibly dark, really, isn't it? All over. But it is. It doesn't. It's kind of dark comedy, isn't it? It's fun.
That's exactly what it is. I wondered, Tom. I don't know if I'm just reading a bit too much into it.
Probably. Well, this will be
I
entertaining.
wonder what you think of this idea. Yeah. I wondered if
Hamlet. It's
Genevieve,
a rewriting of Hamlet. Is that what you're going to say?
Writing of
yes.
Hamlet. No, I was wondering if she was deliberately drawing a comparison between the arrival of the Son of God and the arrival of Mr. Elba. So you've got the gift of gold.
Oh, my God.
And everything. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of Christ mentions. And I wondered if there was like a deliberate, like super clever...
I'm just desperately looking through now to try and link some... Earl Grey, would that be like frankincense? This sort of scented thing? Is that what you're thinking?
That's it, you see? Exactly. Yeah, the herbal stuff. But the gift ends up being for the main character, which I quite like. It's like she almost becomes the sacred... She calls it the sacred fork as well. There's something there, I'm telling you.
You've done a good job of...
It's been very carefully thought through that. You listen again, everybody. Listen again and see if you know what I mean.
It was beginning to look a lot like mass murder when King Herod
there you
Is this what you're thinking?
See?
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, there's something. Christ on a Brompton.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah. There's something there, isn't there?
Mary.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, God, she says.
Was Michael Bublé in the Nativity as well? Was he? Did they do...
Just leave you with that. It's pretty highbrow, this show.
Isn't it? That's, yeah. Wow.
Do you know what we should do now? We should listen to the next one.
Should we talk about it first?
No, Tom.
In depth, and then play it out? Or...
No. So this next one is by Debbie Howard.
God, stop talking about it, John. Just play it so people can hear it.
It's called Start From the Outside and Work Your Way In. I think one of us is about to say that anyway. But
we'll say it again, just so people are definitely sure what it's called.
Start From the Outside and Work Your Way In by Debbie Howard. She met him on her first day at university. He rolled her a cigarette, played This Charming Man on his guitar, leant over and kissed her. His smoky taste reminded her of home. He told her about capitalism, socialism and feminism, took her to protests and parties, gave her a pair of DMs. Her heels bled for him. At Christmas, they got the train to a rowdy King's Cross and parted to their own versions of the city. "Come and see me," he said. "I'll ring." She wrote her phone number on the back of his hand, drew a heart and wished she hadn't. That Saturday it snowed. She left her dad in front of Final Score, can of Tennants in hand. The room was a foggy, festive riot of coloured lights, shiny garlands and Christmas cards on string. "You look lovely," he said. like Audrey Hepburn. She laughed and gave him a hug.
I've got my keys. Don't wait up.
At the other end of the tube line lay a quieter, softer world. She stood outside his house, small in the snow, looking up at the glowing windows, twinkling tree and lavish wreath. The stage was set for the perfect Christmas, even the weather at their behest. Inside, she joined the cast in the drawing room, tried champagne and listened to talk of things she knew nothing about. The dinner table sparkled with cloches, candelabras and comment. He spoke for both of them.
Too many forks.
She whispered. He grinned. Start from the outside and work your way in. If only it was that easy. Walking to the station, they talked of their differences. Christmas traditions, expectations. She described her dad, gap-toothed and tipsy, cracker hat on comb-over, shouting at the Queen's speech. Laughed and felt guilty. It's all a social construct, he said with confidence. None of it matters. She thought of her own concrete construct. Imagined him arriving on Christmas Eve, looking up at the tower. 100 blank windows peering down. A 10-story stone stairway between them. Touched his soft face.
Let's see.
That, Tom, I think, is a really stunning bit of writing.
There's so many little gentle bits of use of language that are just fantastic in that. It really is.
I feel like this is maybe one of the ones that got away.
This could have won, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely could have won. But before we do it, can we just talk about the title? Sorry.
I didn't get the title to start off with.
Oh, yeah, you said that, yeah.
Hands up, I'm willing to admit I am stupid.
Oh, I just think, that's just outstanding. Debbie must have been so happy when she came up with that title.
Unless she didn't realise. And she's going, oh my God, just
realised.
Pretend you meant it, Debbie. Just, no, it's definitely what I meant, that. Yeah.
No, but you see, she has it in the story. So you know that it was meant. But yeah, I just thought this was really stunning. That whole, we talk on this show about show don't tell, and that's Debbie's superpower, isn't it? That just the little bits of like her heels bled for him.
And that's like Jesus on the cross, isn't it? Is that what you're saying now? Is this
There's
one?
a sort of religious zeal in that language, isn't there?
King's cross.
No.
Do you know it's King's cross, as in the King of God, isn't it? On a cross. That's why she said
Tom.
King's cross. You can do this to anything, can't you, John, actually? I'm just going to completely dismiss the analysis from the last one. Ridiculous.
But yeah, I just thought beautiful little brushstrokes of language, and that the description of just everything. It's everything, Tom. It's the description of her flat with her dad, with tenants in hand, and then how that contrasts with the sparkling cloches and candelabras and everything.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned, and it's a line that I underlined as well, was tried champagne.
Yeah.
What a brilliant two-worded.
Just works so hard, doesn't it, for two words?
It's lovely. Very, very nice.
I think brilliant in stories like this as well, where you can on the first read you gloss over that.
Yeah.
It maybe doesn't jump out.
Yeah.
But then once you take the story as a whole and you realise fully what it's about, all of a sudden, tried champagne has 3 or 4 more levels of depth of tried but didn't like, tried but hadn't tried before, had never experienced before. It's all this boom, and it's like, God's sake, that's 2 words.
Yeah.
And it's done repeatedly over and over.
Yeah. Great Flash does exactly that, doesn't it? It's like it condenses everything down so massively.
Yeah.
Well, when it's at its best, Flash is just great at that. And where you don't waste anything, you don't waste a single word. And Debbie's totally done that. Yeah. I thought that was exceptional.
Yeah, really, really good. Really good.
Beautiful little piece.
Well, I think you see all those, exactly what we said at the start. Any of those could have got further.
Yeah.
And there were others in the long list that were in the same boat, really, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, Tommy, could you indulge me? Because there was one other little teeny-weeny story that almost made it into my shortlist. It just kind of skimmed the surface.
So are you saying this was in singular category of its own in the medium list.
It was in between my long list and my short
fell
list.
between the gaps and ended up in a one-story medium list.
Yeah, and it was only afterwards I kind of felt guilty because I thought, yeah, that probably should have just gone in. We should have just added an extra one. It wouldn't have hurt, would it?
I know, but then where do you stop?
Well, no,
I agree with
exactly.
that, but then where do you... Because then, this one, that was the one I chose between these two, and then...
But what I liked about it was a nice creepy one, and you know how I like a creepy
Are
story.
we just going to talk about it then, or are we going to listen to it first and then talk about it?
Do you know what? I think we should just read it now, the two of us, because there's two characters. It's all dialogue, and there's just two characters.
Who's it by?
This is a story by Joel Levy, and it's called Krampuskunde. Keep up if you want to come with.
Why are you going in here?
Twists and turns, you know. Maria Shendon says...
Oh, yes. I remember Maria.
Well, Maria says it confuses him. He can't follow you in a maze. Too many forks.
What else did Maria say?
She said, you never know what he's going to look like. He's a tricky one. He can change how he looks.
Seems like Maria knew all about it. Whatever happened to her?
I think she moved away or something. I mean, she wasn't in school this week. What school do you go to?
Why would he be after you?
Well, no reason. This way. Come on, we have to go down here.
Have you been naughty?
That's not... We didn't mean... I'm not bad. I'm not one of the bad kids.
Didn't we just come this way?
No, don't be silly. You haven't got much sense of direction, have you?
This is a dead end.
It only looks like that. Come on, to the end. You'll see there's a turn. It's funny, I haven't seen you before. I thought I knew all the kids in Moran. Where are you from?
My home's not far. Are we at the centre? Is this the middle?
Should be safe here. He could never find his way here.
Not on his own.
See, that's pretty great, isn't it? Love that.
Brilliant.
Good little creepy factor. Very simple,
Yeah.
pure dialogue.
It's nice, isn't it, when you get the ones that are just willing to have a little tinker with form and stuff as well. It does add an extra little level into things and makes you appreciate.
Yeah.
Do you know whether it's all in one sentence or the one we had that was done in complete, as a text conversation or ones like this? It does add something else to it where the medium becomes the message in part as well.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. But that was only 247 words.
Yeah.
Very short, but packs a lot in to just those few lines of dialogue.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Do you know what's really interesting about that is there's probably like 6 words max that actually do any work of description on where you are.
Yeah.
But you can...
Yeah. That's
see it exactly.
But it's lovely how that's like a drip feed as well, isn't it? But it's got all the information you need to piece everything
Well, it's
together.
another good second read, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then you
it is.
realise it's actually about the birth of Christ. But no, that you do get so much more on another read through as well.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Brilliant.
Well done, everybody. What more is there to say, you talented bunch of people?
It's been a treat, hasn't it? It's been
It
an
really
absolute
has.
honour, pleasure to read them all. And
Well done, everybody.
yeah, super stuff.
Yeah,
Super.
and well done to all the... Well, we've just said this, really, but well done to all the dozens of other entries that were,
Yeah.
frankly, superb, but didn't quite manage to sneak into the shortlist.
Yeah.
I'm hoping everybody enjoyed writing their piece, even if they didn't get a mention. It's all good, isn't it? It's all words. It all matters.
Yeah.
Putting your stuff out there. If we've learned anything in the last 4 years, it is you have got to do that.
People can find out exactly what we have learnt in the last 4 years because we have a little bit of a silly episode coming
We
up
have.
next, which is us doing a director's commentary on our first ever
Yeah.
episode.
I feel like this is maybe one for the the hardcore fans.
Yeah. If you want, if you knew, just pretend the season's finished now, and we'll see you in season 5. But if you were there from the start, or you've dipped in to the start, it's hopefully just an interesting little look at where the podcast has taken us, really.
And we got Davey back for it as well, which is
Yeah.
just nice to hear Dave, isn't
Which
it?
is always nice.
Everyone who missed Dave.
Yep, those 3 people could tune in as well.
I believe you said that.
He's not here to defend himself, is he? Can't be bothered to.
No,
doesn't
exactly.
get
We
to,
should do
doesn't
that
get to
more often,
complain about
shouldn't
it. So
Yeah.
you say
Good
what you
point.
like about him because he doesn't listen.
He doesn't
He
listen.
doesn't care.
You're right. He
So,
actually doesn't care.
Yeah,
you're
we'll just
right.
be nice to him next week when he's actually there. But yeah, whatever.
So we're calling this the official end of the season.
Yeah, well, I guess
This
we
episode.
probably should.
And this is like a
and then-
fun bonus. But yeah, join us because
Yeah.
it is surprisingly fun. But yes, thank you so much for listening this year. We do massively appreciate it. And if you appreciate what we do as well and you want to give us a little festive gift, the very best gift you can give to us
Cash
is to tell your...
Oh, sorry, what? Go on. No, good. You do yours first.
I mean, cash is great.
Yeah, no, sorry. No,
I was going to say, tell your writer friends about us.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
no, that's bad. Yeah, do that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
If you've got a moment, maybe post a nice review or, send a little comment out on the socials about how much you love the Failing Writers podcast.
Yeah.
Because we can only do this if there are people listening. And that would be really nice. Right, Thomas. Happy New Year to you, first of all.
Happy New Year to you.
What a joyful year that was.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all on the other side, 2025. It's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it? 2025.
Sounds like the future, doesn't it?
It does. It's like the distant future coming at us fast.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great year for writing. That's what I reckon. I can feel it in my waters.
Excellent.
It's going to be an absolute cracker. Right, everybody, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye.
My lord. Where's everybody gone?